Amelia Bedelia by Herman Parish. Pictures by Lynn Arvil. And this is Unleashed, Chapter 13. And Baby makes 3. Finally, the cheers of the crowd died down enough for the judges to hear themselves talk, and the talk they did, their tongues were wagging faster than Pierre's tail. At last, the judges reached a decision. The head judge spoke into a microphone, and voice boomed across the arena. In the history of this dog show, we have never had a situation so unusual or a dog as unusual as Pierre. The crowd cheered. As remarkable as Pierre's appearance is, it is against the rules for a show to change the natural color of a dog's coat, even half of it. That is why we have to disqualify Pierre the poodle. The crowd booed. However, it is our decision that such an unusual presentation deserves some unusual recognition. Therefore, we are giving Pierre a special award for most original grooming. The crowd applauded loudly as the judges shook hands with Charlie and Amelia Bedelia. When Pierre offered them his paw, each judge shook it and bowed. The crowd roared its approval. Baby won best in show. Amelia Bedelia felt fine about that, since she thought Baby was the cutest dog in the world, and had thought that since the first time she laid eyes on him. Baby may have been awarded the trophy, but there was no doubt who the true star was. Pierre was mobbed after the show. Amelia Bedelia and Charlie took turns having their pictures taken with Pierre and his fans, and since Pierre had 2 sides, everyone wanted to take 2 pictures. Cameras and phones flashed and clicked and snapped until you would have thought a movie star had moved to town. "You know, Charlie," said Amelia Bedelia's dad after everyone had been introduced officially, "they say every dog has his day." "I've heard that," said Charlie. "Well," continued her dad, "even though Pierre didn't win Best in Show, this day and night belongs to Pierre." "And you too," said Charlie, said Amelia Bedelia. "You're both the best." "Thanks, Amelia Bedelia," said Charlie. "I think I owe it all to you." Everyone was too excited to go home, so they stopped by Pete's diner for his 2-for-1 treats and had a little party. Pete let Pierre park under the table again because it was such a special night. He even brought him a bowl filled with water. Chapter 14. Finally, the answer. Amelia Bedelia's parents were true to their word. On Sunday afternoon, they all got in the car to get a dog. "Are we going to the pet store or by the mall?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "No," said her dad. "I thought we'd stop by the animal shelter for a dog. They're by the pound." "By the pound?" said Amelia Bedelia. "Is that how you buy a dog, like potatoes or butter or something?" "Of course not," said her mother. "The town pound is where they keep lost or abandoned animals. The adopt-a-pet shelter tries to find them homes." "That makes more sense," said Amelia Bedelia. "If you bought a Great Dane by the pound, you'd have to be a millionaire." "They don't sell these dogs at all," said her father. "They give them away." "For free?" said Amelia Bedelia. "That's a better deal than 2-for-1 ice cream specials at Pete's Diner." "Actually," said her dad, "they're not quite free. You have to pay for their shots and a dog license." "Dad, you're always teasing me," said Amelia Bedelia. "Dogs don't need license plates. No dog can run fast enough to get a speeding ticket." As they pulled up to the shelter, Amelia Bedelia realized something. After all the different types of dogs she had seen and walked and cared for, she still had not decided what kind of dog would be best for her. She could hear the dogs barking inside the shelter. She wondered if one was calling to her. Amelia Bedelia and her parents met the director of the shelter, a lady named Williams. She was only too happy to help them. "I'm retired now," she said, but I was a vet." "Were you in the Army or Navy or Air Force?" asked Amelia Bedelia. Dr. Williams laughed. "None of the above. I was a veterinarian for 30 years. "Sweetie," said Amelia Bedelia's mom, "we're going to wait here while you choose. This is your dog. You ought to decide for yourself which one is right for you." "How will I know?" said Amelia Bedelia, as tears began to well up in her eyes. "What if I make the wrong choice?" "Don't worry, honey," said Dr. Williams. "You can trust yourself. You'll feel which one is right for you. I'll help. Now let's go meet some dogs." As soon as they entered the kennel, the noise became deafening. Dogs of all shapes and sizes and colors wanted Amelia Bedelia's attention. Dogs were barking, yipping, and yapping. They were turning around and around to show themselves off. When they were wagging their tails so eagerly, Amelia Bedelia thought that their tails might fly off their rear ends all at once. As she walked down their long row of cages, Amelia Bedelia stopped to meet every single dog. All the dogs acted like they would love to go home with Amelia Bedelia, all except one. This dog was just sitting there, alert but not bouncy, interested but not excited. It was adorable. It tilted its head to one side to look at Amelia Bedelia. Amelia Bedelia tilted her head and looked right back at it. "I've seen lots of dogs lately, but I've never seen one like that," said Amelia Bedelia, pointing at the dog. "What kind of it?" "The dog is a mixture," said Dr. Wiggins. "A mixture of what?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "She's a mixture of her mother and her father," said Dr. Wiggins. "Gosh," said Amelia Bedelia, "that sounds like me." "You and everyone else in the world," Dr. Wiggins said. "We are all mutts, when you come right down to it." "She's just a mutt?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "Just a mutt?" asked Dr. Wiggins. "Why, a mutt can be the most wonderful dog in the world. With a mutt like this one, chances are you'll get the best of everything: the courage of a terrier, the friendliest of a spaniel, the brains of a poodle, the affection of a retriever, the loyalty of a hound, all rolled in one. Wow, said Amelia Bedelia, I never thought of it like that. Dr. Wiggins opened the cage door. Amelia Bedelia kneeled down to get a closer look, and first thing the dog did was lick her cheek. Just once, Amelia Bedelia sat back and blinked her eyes like Sleeping Beauty being awakened by a kiss. This is the one, said Amelia Bedelia. This is the dog for me. Good choice, said Dr. Wiggins. She's a sweetheart. How adorable, said Amelia Bedelia's mom. When Amelia Bedelia and Dr. Wiggins returned to the office with the dog, you two look like you were made for each other. What's your name? Asked Amelia Bedelia's father. Finally, said Amelia Bedelia. It did take a while, said Amelia Bedelia. It was quite a saga, said her dad. But you get a dog at last. What are you going to name her? Finally, said Amelia Bedelia. I'm going to call her finally Bedelia, because I finally got what I wanted, a dog. After they had officially adopted Finally, everyone headed back to the car. Amelia Bedelia's father opened the back door, Finally jumped into the back seat like she had done it a million times before, and they headed for home. Just so you know, said her dad, glancing in the rearview mirror, we're still working on that baby brother for you. Or baby sister, said her mother. Take your time, said Amelia Bedelia. I've got my own baby now. Amelia Bedelia rolled her window down, Finally came over to sit on Amelia Bedelia's lap. She poked her head out the window. Amelia Bedelia couldn't wait to introduce her to Charlie, Diana, and Eric. She was sure Finally would be Pierre's best friend. Amelia Bedelia stuck her head out of the window. The breeze blew Finally's ears back, tickling Amelia Bedelia's face. Her hair mixed with Finally's furry ears until you couldn't tell where Amelia Bedelia ended and where Finally began. And that is the end of this book. Thank you all for joining me for Amelia Bedelia Unleashed by Herman Parish and Lynn, and I will see you for the next story.